โมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังธัมมังสังฆังนะมัสสามิ Blessings to you all. We've come together today online for a day of Dhamma practice, a retreat. I think everybody is getting more used to this these days because of the pandemic. But still, it's good sometimes to practice together as a group online, even though you are all at home in your own space. We get some support when we practice together, and that's been the case since the time of the Buddha, and particularly in our recent times with our teacher Ajahn Chah, or Lumpur Cha. He gave us a lot of encouragement to practice sometimes as group. We support each other. When you know someone else is chanting or meditating, it tends to make us try a little bit harder, especially if we're new to the practice. And we also have a chance later on to discuss the Dhamma, ask questions, and sometimes hearing other people discuss the Dhamma stimulates our own understanding as well. So there's some validity to coming together online to practice for a day. And also, I hope you've set aside the day, the time for your practice, because that's the way it will really bring benefit to you. And you have to make that commitment and say, today I'm going to practice the Dhamma, and you have to think about it or prepare mentally for that. So it's a time where you set aside other business and social engagements, work activities. It's time maybe to turn the phone off. You need your computer on, obviously, but other means of communication, maybe it's time to turn them off, put them aside, get a rest from them. And it's a time to tell your friends you can't do other things today because you're meditating, practicing. And this is a valuable thing for us to practice like this sometimes. We can't maybe do this every day, but to come together to meditate, listen to Dhamma for a whole day and to really set aside that time is very valuable for us. So it's like a time where we can come and check in with ourselves, review our own practice, our own state of mind, review our lives, think about where we're going, what we're doing. You could call it, for those of you in the accounting industry, it's a Dhamma audit. You're auditing your life, your practice today. Is when you come together to take precepts, meditate for a whole day, you're really going to see what your commitment to the Dhamma is like, what your state of mind is like, whether you're very peaceful or not, whether you have the discipline or not. But that's all good in one sense. Even if you find you're not very disciplined, you find it hard to sit meditation at home or concentrate or stick with the practice for a day, you learn from that as well. Part of our Dhamma practice is just learning about ourselves, becoming more aware of ourselves, understanding what makes us tick as human beings, understanding the body, becoming aware of our physical body. So you might find, you can't sit still very long at the beginning of the retreat because you're not used to it, you haven't done much meditation recently perhaps. Or you might find you're sleepy It's early in the morning and you're sleepy. So you're getting to know how your body is today at this time. And you're also getting to know your mind and getting to be aware of what thoughts are coming up. Maybe there's certain things, issues that are bothering you. Maybe your level of mindfulness and wisdom has dropped. If you haven't been practicing much recently, when you come to do a retreat like this today, you're seeing, oh, my mind is all over the place perhaps. It's difficult to establish mindfulness at first. Or maybe you have been keeping up regular practice, and when you come to do a day's practice, it's easy for you because of that. And you find it's easy to sit for half an hour or 1 hour. It's easy for you to turn your attention to the breathing, to bring up mindfulness. It's easy for you to concentrate on the activities, whether it's chanting, meditating, listening to Dhamma. Everyone is different, but a day of retreat helps us just to gather our attention together and turn it to ourselves, to this body and mind. It's important to understand that practicing meditation like this, it's an act of compassion, because often people who don't understand about Dhamma practice and don't meditate, they look on someone else who's a meditator and think, oh, they're just being selfish, they're only interested in their own business, their own happiness, they're not interested in the rest of the world or other people. Which is not true at all. When you come to practice what the Buddha taught, your main task, you could say, is to cultivate skillful or wholesome qualities of mind, kusala Dhamma, and abandon unskillful, unwholesome qualities of mind, to improve our life, improve our state of mind, improve our life overall. And that's an act of compassion. True, it's an act of compassion for ourselves, to improve our life as a human being, find more inner peace, inner happiness, well-being. But of course it's also good for other people. Because unwholesome states of mind, what are they? Well, in short, all the mental states and thoughts and intentions rooted in various forms of greed, anger, delusion. If we can reduce them or let go of them, that's going to bring us more peace and clarity and wisdom, and it will also have its effect on others. If we're less selfish, give in to our anger less, get less confused, less worried, anxious in our lives, well, the people around us are going to benefit from that. Our ability to help others will improve, our ability to interact, communicate with others, and so on, is going to improve. So coming to practice like this, it's an act of compassion for ourselves and for others. So even if you are doubting why you're doing it, what's the purpose of it, or someone else, maybe you have another family member who's just saying, oh, they're off doing their meditation, what's the point, or something, who's doubting. You don't give in to the doubt so easily, just accept that people do have their doubts. But I imagine you've practiced meditation before and found it useful, beneficial, so you have to have your faith and your conviction in that, your previous experience. And then today you're building on that, whatever other people think, whatever other people's views are, it's a good thing that you're doing. Another reason we come together online to practice like this is because when you practice for many hours, say for a whole day, keeping precepts, developing mindfulness in every activity and every posture, so we have walking meditation as well as sitting, you're developing a certain continuity of effort, which is the most important thing in a practice. In this what we call practice, you could also call it a training. Just now we undertook the precepts, and we say, I undertake the training rule to refrain from killing, for example. Or when we practice mindfulness of breathing meditation, we're training to pay attention to the in and out breath, or the feeling or the sensation of it, for example. So this practice, we call it a practice or a training. And when you train over a number of hours for a whole day and you've set aside your other business, there's a chance for your mind to get deeper into the practice, for you to experience more continuous mindfulness, awareness, clear comprehension, because you're putting more effort into the practice, not just for one meditation session, but for many meditation sessions back to back through the day. This builds up a certain continuity of effort, and you may find that you gain some results, good results from that. You're getting better over the day at turning your attention back on yourself, your body, your mind, bringing up mindfulness in the present moment. You may have different obstacles arise as you're practicing meditation. Your mind is not always peaceful. Sometimes it's sleepy. Sometimes it's just full of restlessness, agitation, worry, doubt. Sometimes there's particular issues bothering you, desires for things, sensual desire, sometimes ill will, aversion. These are what we call the 5 hindrances that come up as we start to meditate, and can come up at any time. So it's not that you'll be necessarily peaceful all the time, but you're starting to look more closely at your own mind and learn about these 5 hindrances, what feeds them, where they come from, what supports them, and then what works to help you abandon them. Because a big part of our meditation practice is learning how to deal with the pancha nivarana, the 5 hindrances in their different forms. And you have to learn from your experience. And so even though there are times when your efforts come together and your mindfulness seems clear, continuous, and the mind maybe settles down, body and mind feels tranquil, and then you're able to see things more clearly and investigate the Dhamma and understand things better. There may be those times. But there'll also be times when you're not peaceful at all. But that's still a time when you can learn. It's still a training to put attention on the breath, to try and bring up awareness of the breath, to pull the mind away from the hindrance, or to see the hindrance as it comes up and understand better where it's coming from and how to let go of it. What you might call the bad times are also times you learn in meditation. When you're not peaceful, you learn. When you're peaceful, you learn. And this is something our teacher Ajahn Chah encouraged us to see, is that every time you're putting in effort into your practice, that's something very special, very wholesome, valuable. That's valuable time, and it's a valuable action or wholesome karma that you're making, whatever the result. Because sometimes your mind is really stubborn and not peaceful at all, and you find it difficult to settle down. But that effort to bring up mindfulness at that time is a very powerful, good karma and a very special thing. Other times it may seem very easy, and you're very inspired and energized to practice, and inspired to practice, and your mind settles down. It just depends. So don't be disappointed if there are periods when your mind is not peaceful. You can learn from that, and that's part of the process, part of the practice. But it's a training. We're doing this training, and we're getting better at it through the practice, like anything you train in life. If you think back to any skill you've learned in your life, drive a car, play an instrument, learn some branch of knowledge that you use in work or study, There was a period when you were beginning and it seemed like it was difficult and beyond you even. But then through practice and training, you find after a while you can master that knowledge or that skill, or at least improve yourself, and you can see that effort put into the practice does pay off over time. So don't worry if you're peaceful or not peaceful, it's all good, it's all part of the practice. And you might say the main aim of our practice today is to put effort into bringing up mindfulness. That's at least the first part, the initial part of our meditation practice is training in bringing up mindfulness, clear comprehension. And so today I'll be talking mostly about breath meditation as a way to develop mindfulness of breathing. But if you have other meditation techniques you're familiar with, you can use them as well. But we're putting effort into bringing up mindfulness because we've set aside this time. We've got this opportunity now. We can really put our hearts into the practice of being mindful of the in and out breath and learning to let go of everything else, all the distractions and these 5 hindrances as they come up. But we also can use some wisdom to help the mindfulness, some effort into contemplation as well. And people always say, well, when do you practice mindfulness of breathing and when do you practice contemplation? And of course they're 2 parts of the same thing, your mind, 2 aspects or 2 skills, 2 qualities that you develop, the development of mindfulness and the development of insight or wisdom. And it's not always possible to say exactly when you're going to be doing which. Sometimes, depending on your state of mind and your practice, you may vary your approach. So sometimes we have to contemplate. If the mind is getting stuck on something, we have to consider what's going on, how do I deal with this? Other times, we can just keep repeatedly putting effort into establishing mindfulness on the breath and only a minimal contemplation, you might say. But these 2 aspects work together. They're 2 sides of the same thing. They're 2 aspects of the same mind. And you have to see what's required. So usually in a meditation, we might begin our meditation by establishing awareness on the body as we sit, the posture, and do what we call body sweeping to begin with. We close our eyes and we put attention maybe on the top of the head, sweep down through the body, come back up to the top of the head, keeping our attention turned inwards to the body, feelings coming up in the body, sensations, and then settle the mind down on the breathing. And our goal in the first part of the meditation is simply to be aware of the sensation of the in and out breath. And we pick a point, the tip of the nostrils, to pick up that sensation and train the mind to know the breath going in, know the breath going out at that point. And that may be our only instruction we need to take up. Quite often in meditation, that's all you need, and you just keep putting effort into that. And there may be times when you lose your awareness and your mind is distracted, and your main effort is just to bring attention back to the feeling of the breath and let go of the distraction. Or if you're falling asleep, simply to maybe open your eyes, take some deep breaths, re-establish awareness and carry on. But then other times, that's not enough. We also need sometimes to contemplate and understand better what is going on and what's the problem. So the Buddha identified the main 2 obstacles when we come to meditate that may come up or are likely to come up are what we call attraction or aversion, liking and disliking, delighting in the world, averse to the world. They're probably, other than sleepiness is also a very common problem, but the main movements of the mind we'll find as we try to settle down and practice mindfulness directed to the breath. It's just things that we like, we think about them, we dwell on them, desires, so fantasizing, imagining, planning to get things that we like, experiences that we like, so material objects, different experiences that we want, that we haven't got or that we're anticipating in the future. That will be coming up. So it may be something as simple as, what am I going to eat later? Or there's something I want to buy, some product, or some person I want to see, and that's a form of sensual desire, just thinking about people, wanting to talk to them, engage with them in one way or another. That will come up as you're meditating. It has come up before and it will come up again. We need some tools, some techniques to deal with that. Your aim is to be mindful of the breath going in, breath going out, but then some object of sense desire will come up. And it's more interesting than the breath, especially at the beginning of a meditation. Your mindfulness is not yet very strong. Very easy for something else to take over your mind, and there's something you want to buy, some product or some person that you're thinking about, and they just take over your mind straight away. They're more interesting, more fascinating. So at some point you realize that. What are you going to do? Well, that's where you bring in some contemplation perhaps. You can't stay with the breath, but you've got this sense desire bothering you. So the Buddha said, well, consider the unattractive side of that object or that thing that is obsessing your mind at that time. Is there a different side to it? We know the attractive side, that's what our mind is holding on to as we think about it. The way that thing looks, the anticipation of any pleasure, happiness that may be had, it grabs your attention and holds your attention. So as soon as you realize what's going on, the Buddha said, well, maybe bring up some other reflections, other contemplation at that time. Are there any drawbacks or disadvantages to this desire I'm stuck with? As soon as you realize the problem, bring in the antidote. So you may be as simple as considering this thing I'm desiring, this thing that's obsessing the mind is very trivial. It's just a kind of frivolous, meaningless kind of desire. It doesn't bring me any real benefit, doesn't bring any benefit to anyone else. It's a waste of time, you could say. At that moment, when you realize that, you say, oh, this is a waste of time, it's trivial, let it go. That may be enough. So that's contemplation used to help you let go of a particular thing, desire that's bothering you, and then you let it go and return to the breath. And if you've really seen the meaningless, trivial nature of that desire, it then won't come back, at least not for a while, because you've understood it and let it go. Then you can settle down more on the breath. But some desires are very deeply rooted. So if you say it is food, you're a food addict, and you start thinking about food you're going to have, what you're going to cook, the ingredients, or what you want to get, and it's just obsessing your mind, or you have to work harder. It's not enough just to say it's trivial, meaningless. Maybe you have to contemplate more deeply, this food, what is it anyway? It's just nutrition for the body. It's nothing great in itself. It's just nutrition to keep the body going. What happens to food? Well, you take it into your mouth, you chew it, and immediately becomes repulsive. If you were to spit it out in your hand, it would be repulsive. You'd want to throw it away straight away. Once it's got into the body, you digest it, and then most of it comes out the other end as excrement, which is smelly and unappealing, unattractive. Maybe just contemplating, running through that, the thing that is obsessing you, just seeing the whole picture rather than just the one part of the picture, which is the attractive part, so that your mind is balanced up, and then it can let go and say, oh, it's just food, it's nothing Nothing too special, nothing too great, and your mind agrees to let it go at that time and return to the breath. Probably the deepest, stickiest kind of sensual desire is sexual attraction. It's the hardest of all, isn't it? When you get sexual thoughts in your mind, they really take over the mind. There's strong feeling coming with them, pulls you to the feeling, the pleasant feeling, and then the images that overcome the mind. So there the Buddha said you have to really work hard to contemplate, to see the unattractive side of the human body that you're perhaps imagining. Just as you can imagine the beauty of the skin, the hair, the look of that person, whatever it is that attracts you to them. Ask yourself, is there an unattractive side to this image that is obsessing my mind at this time? If you're attracted to somebody's hairstyle, usually you see the whole head of hair. Break it down a bit. Imagine if you could pull the hair into just individual hairs. One individual hair is not that attractive. Go further, an individual hair gets greasy, comes out of the skin, the pores of the skin, it gets grease on it, dust, dirt. After a while it smells. It grows, eventually we have to cut it out or it drops out. If hair goes into your food or somewhere where you don't want it on your clothing or in your food, you're really annoyed by it. That same hair of that image in your mind that is obsessing you, when you contemplate in this way, changes your view of it. The whole thing starts to break down. I'm giving you a very simple example here, but this is how we contemplate the deepest kinds of attractions or sensual desire that obsesses the mind. We have to counter it with some investigation and gaining a new perspective, a new look on it. It's what we call asupa, the unattractive, the investigation of the unattractive. It could be a material object. You're imagining buying a new home or a new car or a new phone. Same thing. Your phone will get dirty and cracked and old and stop working properly, or your car will get old and rusty. Your brand new shiny home will eventually get cracked and wear out, and the paint wears out. You can do it in the same way for material objects, people, bodies, yourself, other people. It's a skill, it's a way of investigating to counter sensual desire. And it's something that you can learn, a skill you can learn as you meditate, because it will come up for sure. And you have to have some ways to deal with it. The other big one is aversion. We all experience negativity, aversion, mild irritation, disappointments, through to burning rage, depending on what it is that comes into the mind. So as you're meditating here, sitting here, maybe just mild aversion to feelings in your body. You feel some aches and pains, and the past week you didn't notice them, because normally with aches and pains we try to distract ourselves by changing posture or doing other activities that take our mind out into the world, away from the pain of the body. So as soon as you meditate, you're noticing a pain which is already there, it's just now you're noticing it. You might get aversion. If you leave that unaddressed, well, that aversion will really bother you and bug you, and you say, I can't focus on the breath because my back hurts or my knee hurts. And you may blame meditation and say, meditation makes me feel pain, or feel disheartened and want to give up. Try to contemplate. If you can't stay with the breath, that might be your first aim, is to be with the breath. But if you can't stay with the breath, contemplate. This pain, how bad is it? You maybe put your mind on the pain, put your mind on that feeling of pain, ask yourself questions. Where is it in the body? How bad is it? How intense is it? Have you ever felt pain worse than this? Is it a mild pain? Is it passing? Is it there sometimes and disappears? What is going on here? You're investigating. And by that, you're also countering the tendency to irritation or aversion based on the pain. And you may get to a point where you can be aware of the pain mindfully, but not annoyed by it or averse to it, but you're just aware of it as a feeling. And so your aversion evaporates. Or it may be a particular issue that's bothering you from yesterday or your past week or in your life, something to do with your work or relationships to somebody, your family, some aspects of your life that are really bugging you, annoying you, that come up as images, memories, thoughts, views and opinions, complaints. As you're meditating, you're trying to go to the breath and all this stuff is filling your head. So what do? Well, sometimes you have to contemplate. It's not enough just to go to the breath. You can't stay with the breath because your mind is full of this negativity. So we have a number of practices we can do. Maybe one is to bring up the opposite, the thought of kindness, compassion, tolerance, learning to be at peace with that negativity or the issue that you are remembering. You know, if it's already happened, maybe you just accept it's happened. I'm not going to dwell on it with negativity. I have to accept it's happened, it's been, it's gone. And this is coming from the place where you're seeing that anger or ill will is actually worse for you usually than the very thing that prompted it. You know, the anger in your mind is worse than the painful feeling maybe. The anger is worse than the words that somebody told you that made you annoyed, or that event that happened that annoyed you, got you angry. The anger you're now holding on is worse than that. It's hurting you, harming you more than that. It's getting that understanding. So when you're meditating, you're seeing the thing to do is, it's not a time to solve the world's problems or all these things that make you angry. It's the time to let go of anger. Recognize anger as a feeling, as a stream of thought, coming from ignorance, coming from attachment, and then having enough awareness through the contemplation to say, this is not good for me, it's time to let it go. Time to have a rest, bring the mind to peace. So you'll probably find through the day these are dynamics you're working with, whether you're sitting or walking meditation. There is the tendency to delight in things and seek out pleasure with the mind, the tendency to dwell on negativity and anger and ill will. And the idea is to bring up mindfulness in the middle of these two things, bring back the mind back to the breath, center it, find that place in the middle that's peaceful where you're aware of sense desire arising, but you're not grasping it or sticking with it, you're letting it go. You're aware of negativity, say, but you're letting it go. And that's the place of peace. And this is this place we call our real home. What Ajahn Chah talked about, our real home, the place inside where the mind is alert, energized, mindful, and able to see things clearly as they are without getting lost in them, attached to them. And this is a place inside, inside our heart that comes up through the practice more and more. So it's like you're coming back in touch with your real home. It's also a refuge. So just now we took refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and that's the external refuge, and that's important. But now through the practice we're finding the inner refuge of mindfulness, wisdom, understanding our experience more with clarity, and letting go of this habit of grasping at things and attaching to things. So this is what we're practicing today, getting more in touch with our real home, the peaceful mind on the inside. But we have to put effort to find it and to keep it, to stay there. It doesn't just happen naturally. It's not just random. Your mind doesn't just fall into a place of mindfulness and wisdom. It has to come through creating the good conditions through the practice, which is why we're here today. So maybe for the first morning's teaching, I'll just leave it there. Yeah.